Okay, I have sewn my lining into the bodice. I've sewn around the neckline, turned, ironed, and then top stitched. So now I have this nice top stitch around here. I also went ahead and I basted this arm's eye. That's a good idea before I set the sleeve in. The next step on my sleeve is to actually sew right sides of the lining together. So I slide my lining inside this one as a tube. Making sure that seam is seen here and seam allowance is seen right there. I've stitched around this, which would be the cuff of the arm, cuff of the sleeve, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this and prepare it to be set in. Now, if I pull this, oops, I got a little bit of a hole. It was a little tough to stitch this little tiny sleeve. But if I turn this or open this up, I can iron it just like that and then push this inside, top stitch around this armhole, and then baste this sleeve cap and arm's eye together. This will make setting in the sleeve just that much easier. Okay, but in order to set this sleeve, so we're going to pretend like I've done all of those steps. I'm going to throw a couple of pins in here just to keep these layers together. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm not going to go and fix that hole. I'll fix that with ironing and a top stitch in a little bit. Okay, so now I have my sleeve, and I need to get this sleeve attached here. This is where it gets a little confusing, because how do I get right sides to be touching? Well, I want this to be touching here, right? Well, this makes it for a very awkward stitching session. But the trick is, go ahead and turn this inside out so you see the lining. Make sure you have your right sleeve with your right arm and your left sleeve with your left arm. To double check that, you would want to check your notches. So if I'm holding my sleeve out here, I would have a single notch here. This is the front of my bodice, and I would have a single notch here. So you want to kind of like hold it up like it's going to be finished to make sure that you've got the right sleeve with the right arm. Okay, so turn it inside out. And I am going to drop this sleeve down in this hole right here. Okay, so now you can see I have right sides touching. I'm going to pin here at the underarm. This will be very tricky on this teeny tiny bodice, but I'm going to attempt it. And now you can see it's going to be a little bit easier to line up this sleeve all the way around. Now, fortunately, this is the method I used for my larger garment, my actual size garment. So I'm going to show you what that looks like on the actual garment, and then also this mini version. So I'm going to stitch that. I'm going to be stitching around this circle. I'm going to be able to put this part into the arm of my machine and rotate the garment around as I stitch, so that way I'm not catching any other layers. So you use the arm of your machine just like just through the arm, through the sleeve, and that way you can stitch around that circle.